Yeah, that was really sort of, you know, I probably said this about the last one that you played that was kind of like this too, but it's just super chill and sort of, atmospheric. And I kind of dig it. It's almost like, beat tapes before, beat tapes were a thing, basically.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like, there's sort of just this whole album is just really, really heavy, just in terms of like the sounds that they choose to use.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is the one that opens it. It sort of sets the stage for the whole thing. And it all just has this really weighty, sort of dramatic atmosphere to it. And it's definitely cinematic in the way that Portishead's Dummy is, but also not at all like it. It's very hard to describe too, because there's but that's what I also find so fascinating, is because it's so similar to what Portishead is achieving, but it's like a totally different thing at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like there's just something about it. It's hypnotic in a way. I feel like
Yeah.
you could put on something like this, listen to the full album, and like not even really realize that an hour has gone by. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So, what was it that sort of made you get into this type of stuff? Because, like, I've, not to dumb it down, so to speak, but like, I've sort of listened to like, lo-fi hip hop sort of stuff like that, which is kind of what this reminds me of, but a lot more serious, I guess you could say, a lot more atmospheric. But like what drew you to this initially when you started listening to it?
So, sort of the push was I was brushing up on some of my mixing knowledge from our university days. And so I was
Okay.
reading the textbook and I was reading about using EQ. And then Portishead showed up in a footnote about using EQ for like just completely unconventional purposes. And
Mm-hmm.
Portishead was already on my radar because they were like a really influential band for Deftones, who I
Oh, okay.
fucking adore. And so, yeah, just that little footnote was what drew me into this world. And then Massive Attack was the result of me just absolutely adoring Portishead, but also it was recommended by Porcupine Tree's founding member Steven Wilson on his own music recommendation podcast, The Album Years.
Oh, okay. Shout out.
Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely a different thing than what I tend to listen to, which is
mm-hmm.
kind of why I do this is, to expand my own horizons and help people expand theirs as well. So that's cool. So my final song of the evening is an American garage rock group. I don't know where they're from, but at least I would consider them garage rock. I don't know. Actually, let me see if. Yeah, it doesn't look like they really put themselves into a specific box like that. So we're just going to call them garage rock for the time being. But I found it on this really cool playlist that I've actually found a couple of other songs for this show on. It's called Sad Jams, and it's a playlist that is created and updated every week by We're Trying Records, which is a record label out of Austin, Texas. And they're actually super cool. I think that they have services where you can just like get tapes printed and stuff like that. Like they have a lot of cool services that don't even have to do necessarily with, traditional record label stuff. It seems like a really cool way to probably stay quote unquote independent while also using some label resources, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, super cool.
Yeah, so they are pretty cool, and this song that I found is by a band called Taking Meds. This is off of their new album from 2021 called Terrible News from Wonderful Men, and this song is called Musclehead.